You've hit 50, or maybe you're already past that milestone, and something has changed. It wasn't sudden. It crept up on you stealthily, as if your body received a memo you never signed off on. That pair of jeans that fit perfectly in January suddenly won't button in March. The scale shows a number you don't recognize. You eat less than you used to, try to move more, cut out sweets, cut out bread, and still the number on the scale refuses to budge. And then comes that quiet frustration. That thought you're ashamed to admit, is this just age? Is there no way to fix this? Has my body simply stopped working like it used to? You're not alone. And more importantly, you're not right about that conclusion. What's happening in your body after 50 isn't just aging. It's a series of metabolic missteps that most people, and even many doctors, don't identify correctly. Missteps that have names, scientific explanations, and most importantly, solutions. These silent errors are sabotaging your metabolism day after day, and the worst part is that many of them are made with the best intentions by people who think they're doing the right thing. And among these metabolic errors, there's a villain that appears with alarming frequency after 50 and rarely gets the attention it deserves: fatty liver or hepatic steatosis, which sets in silently and messes with your entire metabolic system from the inside out. I'm a hepatologist, and in my years of clinical practice, I've seen hundreds of patients over 50 who arrived at my office desperate, believing the problem was a lack of willpower or discipline, when in reality, the issue was biological, hepatic, metabolic, and completely beyond what they could fix with just diet and exercise without the right knowledge. Today, in this video, I'm going to reveal the 6 errors that are stalling your metabolism after 50. And at least one of them, I'm sure, will make you pause the video and think, oh my gosh, I do this every single day. So stick with me until the end, because the information coming your way in the next few minutes could completely change the trajectory of your health. If you've made it this far, it means you care about your health, and that says a lot about who you are. I created this channel for people exactly like you, who refuse to accept vague answers like, it's just age, learn to live with it, who want to understand what's really going on in their bodies, and who want real science-based, practical solutions. Every week, I bring you the latest research on liver health, metabolism, and reversing diseases that affect millions of Americans, information that often doesn't reach the doctor's office, because doctors have 10 minutes per patient and don't have time to explain everything. Subscribe to the channel now and hit that notification bell, because you'll want to be here when I release my next videos. You're not alone on this journey, and together, we're going to get your metabolism working again. Before we dive into the 6 errors, I need to share a statistic that deeply impacted me when I first read it. Recent studies published in international hepatology journals show that over 40% of people over 50 have some degree of fatty liver, and the overwhelming majority of these individuals don't know it. They get routine checkups, hear everything is fine, and carry on with their lives. But their liver is silently accumulating fat, interfering with hormone production, blocking the body's fat-burning processes, disrupting blood sugar levels, and making any attempt to lose weight nearly impossible. And the cruelest part is that this fatty liver buildup doesn't hurt. The liver doesn't have nerve endings to feel direct pain, so people go on living, gaining weight, feeling more tired, more bloated, more drained, without understanding that the root of it all lies there, in an organ that should be the body's greatest metabolic ally, but has become an obstacle. I'm going to tell you about a patient who really left a mark on my life. I'll call her Mrs. Henderson. She was 56 when she came to my office, a strong woman who had raised 3 children, worked her whole life, and never let herself complain. She came to see me because her family doctor had ordered a routine ultrasound, and the report came back with a phrase she didn't quite understand: moderate hepatic steatosis. The doctor had said, "It's fatty liver, you need to lose weight." And that was it. End of consultation. Mrs. Henderson went home without understanding what it meant, without knowing what to do, without a plan. She tried to lose weight on her own for 8 months. She cut out fat, cut out carbs, went to the gym 3 times a week. She lost 5 pounds in the first 2 months, and then it completely stalled, and the weight even crept back up. She arrived at my office thinking the problem was her, that she didn't have enough discipline, that her body was resistant. When I reviewed her labs, I saw her ALT was 67, her AST was 52, and her GGT was also elevated. Her liver was inflamed, and the very attempts she was making to lose weight were, paradoxically, worsening the situation. Now, I need to pause here and ask you an important question, and I want you to be honest with me, because your answer might help thousands of people watching this video right now. When you found out you had fatty liver, or when your doctor told you your metabolism was stalled, what was the first thing you felt? Was it that guilt, thinking you caused it yourself? Was it the frustration of having tried everything and failing? Was it that discouragement, thinking there's no hope left? I know it's hard to carry that weight in silence, to keep trying when inside you're exhausted and losing hope. That's why I want you to go to the comments right now and type, "I have a stalled metabolism and I need help." There's no shame in that. This is a safe space, without judgment, without criticism. And when you comment, you're showing other people that they're not alone. You're creating a chain of strength and care. I read every comment, and your story matters to me. Comment now. Let's get to the first error, and this one will surprise you because it's the exact opposite of what most people imagine. The first error is drastically cutting calories. It sounds counterintuitive, right? You need to lose weight, so you eat less. It makes sense in theory. But in practice, after 50, cutting calories abruptly and severely triggers a survival mechanism in the body that scientists call adaptive thermogenesis. Your body, when it realizes it's getting less fuel than it needs, simply slows down your metabolism to conserve energy. And your liver, the body's master metabolic regulator, starts storing even more fat as an emergency reserve. Studies show that very low-calorie diets can actually increase fatty liver disease instead of reducing it, especially in people over 50 who already have some degree of insulin resistance. Mrs. Henderson, whom I mentioned earlier, was making exactly this mistake. She'd eat very little all day, come home exhausted at night, and her body was in constant survival mode. Her liver was accumulating fat, not in spite of the restrictive diet, but because of it. The second mistake is what I call the weekend warrior syndrome. During the week, people control themselves, eat well, avoid excesses. Then Saturday rolls around, and they allow themselves to eat a bit more, grab a beer, have dessert, a snack here, another there, and then on Sunday they think, I've already ruined the week, might as well enjoy it, and I'll start fresh tomorrow. The problem is that this pattern of restriction during the week and excess on the weekend is extremely detrimental to the liver after 50. The liver can't efficiently process these spikes in sugar, fat, and alcohol at that age because its regenerative capacity diminishes over time, and the enzyme alcohol dehydrogenase, which processes alcohol, works more slowly. These weekend spikes elevate AST and ALT levels, increase triglycerides, and fuel the cycle of steatohepatitis. That's fatty liver with inflammation, the most concerning stage before fibrosis. If you have fatty liver, hit that like button now so more people can find this video and help themselves. The third mistake is not sleeping well, and I know many people will read this and think, but what does sleep have to do with metabolism and the liver? The answer is everything. During deep sleep, the liver performs its most important detoxification processes. The body produces growth hormone, which is crucial for maintaining muscle mass after 50, and insulin resistance, a major driver of fat accumulation in the liver, significantly improves. When you sleep poorly, whether due to insomnia, sleep apnea, or simply sleeping less than 6 hours, cortisol levels rise, ghrelin, the hunger hormone, increases, and leptin, the satiety hormone, decreases, leaving your liver overloaded. Patients who resolve sleep apnea frequently report spontaneous improvement in their liver tests without any other changes, and that's not a coincidence. It's pure physiology. Leave your AST and ALT levels in the comments below if you'd like me to help you interpret those values in the context of your health. The fourth mistake, and this one is particularly cruel because it's made with the best intentions, is going all out with high-intensity exercise right from the start. When someone discovers they have fatty liver or their metabolism is stalled, they go from 0 to 100, start running, take spin classes daily, lift heavy weights without preparation. The result? Systemic inflammation, severe muscle pain, and quitting in less than a month. But there's an even more specific problem for those with fatty liver. Very high-intensity exercise without a gradually built aerobic base can temporarily elevate liver enzymes, which scares the patient and the doctor, often leading to the incorrect conclusion that exercise is harmful. The science is clear. The ideal exercise to reverse fatty liver after 50 is a combination of moderate walking in the aerobic zone 3 to 4 times a week, with light to moderate strength training twice a week. This combination increases insulin sensitivity, reduces intrahepatic triglycerides, and improves liver enzymes by an average of 30% after 12 weeks, according to studies published in the Journal of Hepatology. The fifth mistake is the most common and the most invisible: consuming foods that seem healthy but are highly inflammatory for the liver after 50. I'm talking about fresh fruit juice, honey, tapioca, excessive amounts of brown rice, very sweet fruits like mangoes, ripe bananas, and grapes. These foods contain significant amounts of fructose, and fructose, unlike glucose, is metabolized almost exclusively by the liver. When the liver is already overloaded with fat and insulin resistance, excess fructose turns into liver fat with frightening metabolic efficiency. Fructose doesn't activate the brain's satiety mechanisms in the same way as glucose. So people eat a huge bowl of fruit thinking they're doing something healthy while their liver is rapidly accumulating fat. This doesn't mean fruit is poison, but it means the quantity and type of fruit matter immensely when you have fatty liver and are over 50. Share this video with someone you love who might be making these mistakes without knowing it. The sixth mistake, and perhaps the most underestimated of all, is ignoring the gut's role in liver health. In the last decade, science has revolutionized our understanding of the connection between the gut and the liver, what researchers call the gut-liver axis. The liver receives 70% of its blood supply directly from the gut via the portal vein. This means that everything passing through the gut, including toxins produced by imbalanced gut bacteria, reaches the liver first. When the gut microbiota is unbalanced, a state scientists call dysbiosis, the gut produces inflammatory substances called endotoxins that travel to the liver, activate inflammatory cells called Kupffer cells, and fuel the steatohepatitis process. After 50, the gut microbiota naturally loses diversity, and habits like frequent antibiotic use, low-fiber diets, a sedentary lifestyle, and chronic stress worsen this picture even further. Taking care of your gut, therefore, isn't optional for reversing fatty liver. It's fundamental. Now that you know the 6 mistakes, let me tell you what happened with Mrs. Henderson after she implemented the correct changes. When I explained to her what was happening in her body, she was silent for a moment and then said, "Doctor, these 8 months I suffered could have been 8 months of improvement if I'd known this sooner." And I had to agree with her. The problem wasn't her. It had never been her. The problem was the lack of correct information applied to the specific context of her body after 50. We implemented a 4-pronged protocol, a diet focused on reducing fructose and ultra-processed foods without severe calorie restriction, a daily 30-minute walk and weight training twice a week, therapeutic dose omega-3 supplementation, which has solid scientific evidence for reducing liver fat, and gut care through fermented foods and an increase in prebiotic fiber. In 3 months, Mrs. Green's ALT levels dropped from 67 to 31. In 6 months, the ultrasound showed a significant reduction in fatty liver. In a year, she had lost 24 pounds without starving, without injuring herself at the gym, and with energy she said she hadn't felt in over 10 years. Comment below if you've tried to reverse fatty liver or a sluggish metabolism and failed. I want to understand what happened with you, what strategies you used, because often the problem isn't a lack of effort, it's the wrong strategy applied with a lot of effort, and that's very different. Let me answer the most frequently asked questions on my channel about this topic. The first question is, can you reverse fatty liver after 50? The answer is yes, with an important caveat. Reversal depends on the stage. Simple fatty liver, which is fat accumulation without significant inflammation, is completely reversible at any age with the right changes. Steatohepatitis, which is fat with inflammation, is also reversible, but requires more time and often supportive medication. Advanced fibrosis is harder to reverse, but it's possible to stabilize and even improve with proper treatment. The critical point is, the sooner you act, the greater the chances of complete reversal. And after 50, time counts more than before, so the time to act is now. The second frequent question is, do I need a biopsy to know if I have fatty liver? Not necessarily. An abdominal ultrasound can identify fatty liver with about 20% fat accumulation in the liver. To assess fibrosis without a biopsy, there's a test called liver elastography, which measures liver stiffness non-invasively, and it's extremely accurate. A biopsy is still the gold standard for assessing the exact degree of inflammation and fibrosis, but it's indicated in specific cases, not for everyone. If you had an ultrasound recently and want to know what the report really means, or if you want to know if you need more tests, tell me in the comments what your report said, and I'll guide you. The third question is about medications. Is there a drug for fatty liver? Historically, there was no approved medication specifically for non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. That has recently changed with advances in research and approvals of new molecules, especially for cases of steatohepatitis with fibrosis. But what remains the most effective treatment with the greatest accumulated scientific evidence over decades is lifestyle change. A weight loss of 7 to 10% of body weight is associated with significant improvement or even complete resolution of fatty liver in most patients. What medications do in cases where they're indicated is facilitate this process or treat associated complications. But no medication replaces habit change, and this is an absolute consensus in global hepatology. Let me tell you about another patient that clearly illustrates the danger of ignoring these signs. I'll call him Mr. Anthony, 58 years old, a businessman, someone who was always very busy, very active, but who became increasingly sedentary over the past few years due to work pressure. Mr. Anthony discovered he had fatty liver during a routine checkup, but since he felt nothing, and the doctor didn't express urgency, he simply ignored it. He continued eating out every day, continued having 2 or 3 glasses of whiskey at night to relax, and continued sleeping poorly due to stress. 2 years later, he went for his checkup, and the ultrasound showed severe fatty liver. His enzymes were elevated, ALT at 89, and the elastography I ordered showed mild fibrosis. In 2 years of inaction, he had gone from simple fatty liver to fatty liver with inflammation and incipient fibrosis. Still treatable, still reversible, but with a narrower window. The message from Mr. Anthony's case is clear. Fatty liver is not something to keep an eye on without taking any action. It's something that requires action now. And what I've learned from years in practice with hundreds of patients like Mrs. Green and Mr. Anthony is that the biggest enemy of someone over 50 who wants to reverse a sluggish metabolism and fatty liver isn't genetics, it's not age, it's not lack of willpower. The biggest enemy is the lack of correct personalized information. Because most people are making an effort, they're trying, they're dedicating themselves, but with the wrong strategies, and then the results don't come. Frustration increases, hope diminishes, and the cycle continues. But now, you know the 6 mistakes. You know that cutting calories too much stalls your metabolism. You know that weekend binges fuel liver inflammation. You know that poor sleep deregulates all hormones. You know that excessive and unprogressive exercise can be counterproductive. You know that seemingly healthy foods can be overloading your liver. And you know that gut health is a fundamental part of treatment. Let me summarize the main points so you leave here with a clear roadmap in your head. Metabolism after 50 responds differently, but it responds when you use the right strategies. Fatty liver is behind a good portion of sluggish metabolism in this age group and is completely reversible in most cases. The 6 mistakes that stall everything are severe calorie restriction, the restrict binge cycle on weekends, poor quality sleep, high-intensity exercise without a built-up base, excessive fructose consumption, even in natural forms, and neglecting gut health. Reversal requires an integrated approach that addresses the liver, gut, sleep, diet, and movement simultaneously and progressively. And the time to start is now, not next Monday, not after your birthday, now. If this video made sense to you, if you recognized yourself in any of these mistakes, or if you know someone who is struggling with a sluggish metabolism after 50, I need your help to spread this information. Give it a like now, it helps me immensely to reach more people who need to hear this. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and ring the notification bell. because next week I'm dropping a video all about the perfect eating plan to reverse fatty liver after 50. We'll cover a practical meal plan, the foods that are your best friends and the ones that are your worst enemies, plus the common diet mistakes that totally wreck your progress. It's going to be one of the most in-depth videos I've ever made on this topic, and you'll want to catch it the moment it drops. Share this video with someone you care about, a family member, a friend who's going through the same thing. This information could seriously change a lot of people's health. Thanks for being here, for dedicating your time to taking care of your health. Take good care of your liver, because it's looking out for you every single day, silently, and it deserves the same in return.